Joe Rogan is an American podcaster, comedian, and former actor, whom many might recognize as the presenter of Fear Factor, through which Joe earned his initial stardom. Although easily recognized, fans of the reality game show might be surprised to learn that one of the world's most popular presenters is a man of many talents. After Fear Factor's finale in 2006, Joe rapidly expanded his career to include endeavors in several directions. Born Joseph James Rogan on the 11th of August 1967 in Newark, New Jersey, the son of local police officer Joseph Sr., Joe spent his early childhood in Newark until at the age of 5, Joe's parents divorced because of Joseph Sr.'s abusive behavior. Joe later admitted that he hasn't had contact with his father since he relocated with his mother to San Francisco, California in 1974 at the age of 7, where he would spend the next 4 years of his life. At the age of 11, Joe relocated once again to Newton Upper Falls, Massachusetts, near Boston, where he attended Newton South High School, as well as competing in outside sports as a student of Taekwondo. During his early education, Joe competed in Little League Baseball, but later opted to rather study martial arts, starting with karate, though switching to Taekwondo when he started high school. Then, he competed in various contests, earning the state title as the full contact champion for 4 consecutive years, and age 19, Joe won the U.S. Open Taekwondo Championship in the lightweight division. He also supplemented his training with amateur kickboxing, earning a 2-1 record in local competitions. At the age of 21, Joe retired from martial arts competitions following possible health risks, complaining of frequent headaches that persuaded him to retire before he suffered serious, irreversible injuries. He later enrolled at the University of Massachusetts Boston campus, though deciding that it was pointless. Joe dropped out of college, spending a few more years in Boston before moving to New York. Joe secured his living by working various jobs, which included bouncer posts at local nightclubs, where his martial arts ability certainly convinced patrons to behave. During the day, Joe worked as a Taekwondo instructor at Boston University, delivered newspapers, worked as a chauffeur, and did part-time work for a private investigator. Joe also worked in construction at times, while dedicating his free time to developing his stand-up comedy act, to which he turned his attention to after giving up the idea of a career in kickboxing. In 1988, Joe secured the beginnings of his career in stand-up comedy after performing an open mic routine at the Stitches Club in Boston. His act gained the attention of a talent scout, who convinced Rogan to move to New York and promote his work there. Sadly, though, things didn't turn out to be profitable, with Joe scraping by to survive. So he then relocated to Los Angeles, California, where his comedy act eventually became popular. During this time, Joe landed roles in the miniseries Hardball and then the sitcom News Radio, while continuing to perform stand-up routines at local clubs and comedy theaters. In 1997, Joe again took an interest in martial arts, though this time around he intended to join the latest contest, the Mixed Martial Arts Ultimate Fighting Championship. However, after 2 years, Rogan retired from the UFC due to financial instability. But in 2001, Joe made his reappearance at the fighting events, having accepted a job as a color commentator. That same year, Joe also landed his spot on Fear Factor, and pretty soon became a familiar face in homes around the world. The popular game show's success ensured that Rogan would earn some fame as a celebrity, which he exploited for his latest project, The Joe Rogan Experience. Joe, along with his good friend and fellow comedian Brian Redman, created the podcast in 2009, and after going through some changes, it eventually became popular with an expansive audience. In 2015, the podcast achieved more than 11 million downloads, and as of January 2021, the Joe Rogan Experience boasts a contract with Spotify worth more than $100 million. The show is guaranteed to grow in success. Despite being one of the most colorful celebrities in Hollywood, certainly considered a multi-talented star, Joe's love life seems to be a complete contrast to his professional life. Make no mistake, many would consider Rogan an attractive man, and adding success to that repertoire makes Joe only more of an eligible bachelor. However, Rogan has kept his love interests at a minimum, setting up just a subtle history of lovers. Seriously, digging up Rogan's past affairs, romances, and dalliances is no easy task, mostly because the man's private past is very elusive. As sure as his fans might be that no scandal would be uncovered, it doesn't seem strange that Rogan is able to hide his history. After all, Joe did perform tasks for a private detective in Boston. On the other hand, Rogan's earliest history while living in Boston and New York hardly gained any attention. At the time, Joe had only just started a career as a comedian, so unlikely to be the subject of juicy tabloid stories. Despite this, one could nonetheless expect there to be some stories. In fact, the earliest relationship that can be uncovered among Joe's past flirtations is a long-term affair with American actress and Survivor the Australian Outback contestant Jerry Manthey. Now, the exact truth behind the relationship is up for debate, though it's commonly accepted that the two dated for several years and at one point were serious enough to marry. Most sources place the beginnings of Joe and Jerry's relationship in 1997, long before either of them gained any exposure on television. Though no one knows how the couple met, their unfortunate split in 2003 has been detailed several times. According to nearly all sources, the couple parted ways when Jerry ended the relationship, accusing Joe of cheating on her. During a later interview on The Howard Stern Show, Jerry confessed that she was indeed the one who ended the relationship. Since then, Joe has also admitted the truth, stating that he wanted an open relationship, but Jerry would not commit to such a lifestyle. Considering these words, it's not hard to believe that Joe would try to attain some form of freedom. Joe has openly defended and supported the use of psychedelic drugs, such as LSD, and also actively supports the recreational use of cannabis, claiming that it allows people to explore themselves without inhibition. So, Joe and Jerry split after dating almost 6 years. Apparently, the breakup was very bitter. Since then, it seems neither Jerry nor Joe has any love reserved for the other. Rogan didn't immediately seem set on finding another long-term commitment, and for some time appeared to enjoy his bachelor freedom. That was until 2007, shortly following the closing finale of Fear Factor, when rumors surfaced suggesting that Joe had become involved with Thai beauty Lakhana Z. Although fairly unknown, many MMA and UFC fanatics might recognize Lakhana as one of the many models promoting the fighting competitions. Despite his efforts to keep his personal life out of the papers, news of Joe's latest involvement could not be kept quiet. Unfortunately, no details survived from the stories and publications, with most sources only publishing speculative information. No one knows how they met. In fact, the relationship was never confirmed. As soon as the rumors started, they ended, and with it any possibility that Joe and Lakhana could be starting a family. Though considering how good Joe is at keeping his private life secret, one might as well assume that Rogan and Z had a brief but sweet romance. As proof of his ability, following his dalliance with Lakhana, Joe went on to marry Jessica Ditzel, who for many years Joe's fans hardly even knew about. While marriage in concept seems as frightening as a Fear Factor episode or a pit of scorpions to some people, Joe proved to the world that he was never afraid of commitment, as his ex-girlfriend Jerry would suggest, since he married Jessica in 2009. Having kept all details private, along with the proposal and the ceremony, there is little to tell Joe's loyal fans about the romance. In fact, Jessica is seen so rarely in public that the couple was married for several years before news even reached the entertainment tabloids. All that is known about Jessica is that she was a cocktail waitress, though where exactly she worked remains an obscure detail. As such, no one even knows how Jessica and Joe met, but they've been happily married for the past 12 years. Any difficulties they've faced have been kept private, but so has any good news. However, for those who don't know, Rogan has since become a father to 2 adorable daughters, the elder 12-year-old Lola and the younger 11-year-old Rosie. Joe is also a father to Jessica's firstborn from a previous relationship, 24-year-old Kaya Rose, whom Joe later adopted as his own daughter. For more than a decade, the Rogan family has lived a quiet, prosperous life, with Joe successfully keeping his family out of the tabloids. For those who simply can't get enough of Joe or how he tickles the funny bone, the Joe Rogan Experience is available on several platforms, including but not limited to Spotify and YouTube. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.